Now, here's the thing. That is the only place that I would say it works. Everywhere else, when you say, I forgive my parents for what they didn't know, if that gives you peace, then say that. The thing I see, the problem with this statement, I'm going to tell you the problem with this statement being shamans for 2 decades,
Yes.
you guys, I'm going to tell you what I've seen with thousands of people, is it never sticks. Don't lie to yourself. You guys know what I'm talking about, because guess what, Bernadette? You've been trying to forgive your parents for 40 freaking years, okay?
And she's only 28. That's a really long time.
Even if you say you forgive them and you mean it, that underneath that, you're still saying they did something wrong. That could have never happened.
You're still coming from a victim mentality. You're still coming from that you didn't co-create this. You're still coming from that you're not source in the matter. You're still coming that you as a conscious being did not create your parents to be who they are. Which, if you follow the thread, it actually, what you're actually saying to yourself is that I don't like who I am today. I don't accept who I am today. I don't like the way I am. I judge people, I judge myself, and I am not at peace with myself. And therefore, I'm going to work on forgiveness, because I think that's the softer, easier way to get out of this. No, sister,
It's an ego trap.
it is not.
It's an ego trap.
So you sparked a bunch of little side conversations here with that brilliant, wonderful dissertation that you just had, and some people need notes and breakdowns of what you said.
Sure.
But what I want to let people know is that, in a nutshell, if you want to make it really simple for yourself, everything is for you. And if that is your new, upgraded, new program, new belief system, to say everything is for me that happens to me, everything is for me, that puts you in the driver's seat and gives you an opportunity to adjust and tweak what you need to adjust and tweak in your life, because you are at the cause and you are the source creator of your life, not a victim to your life. Your parents show up exactly the way you created them to show up, because let me tell you,
The way you asked them to show up.
not only the way you asked them to show up before you came to the planet, but on top of that, your perspectives, perception, and your template and your rules that you place on them, on how they are supposed to show up
Right. That's the should.
for you, right? If you change that perspective and find what they brought to you, even if they were the worst parents in the world, and you get 100 people to agree with you, you still will find the benefits, the glory, the beauty, and the joy, the awesomeness of what you got from that. So everything that my parents did that were, like, in my book, just outrageous and I hated, to this day, I am who I am today. I am the parent I am today. I'm the wife I am today. I am the friend I am today. I am the artist I am today. I am everything I am today, because they were the way they were. And that is how I designed it, as a conscious, intelligent soul. Because we're not little ants running around the anthill. We're advanced beings, and we are waking up to that fact. So the more you understand that we created our parents to be the way they are, and we are in control of how we perceive them. And this takes time. It takes, like, grace. You have to have a lot of grace with yourself and take it easy, compassion, gentle with yourself. Don't be so hard with a whip, cracking a whip, breaking your own back over this topic, because guess who suffers? Who's the one suffering? And we're trying to get out of suffering, right? So how do we get out of suffering? Is we get to the root of the cause of the problem, go to the cause, and the cause is, number one, your perspective. It's always going to start there. What are you saying about the situation? How are you perceiving them? What are you bringing to the table? So if you, like Bernadette, you're a great student teacher here with us. That's great. And I like using you as an example. You've been with us from the beginning. It's great because you showcase a lot of questions that people have. And so one of the questions that you said is that, like, you forgive your parents. Do you forgive your parents?
I'm past forgiving them. I thank them for what they didn't do.
You're in class. Hand over the phone.
I was checking something about that I wanted to talk to you guys about.
Okay. So you don't need to forgive anybody, you guys, Because if you find out that if it's for you and you benefited from it by being who you are today, means that you need to have more grace for yourself and more love for who you are today. It goes back to you again. And so therefore, there's no one to forgive. The only person, if you want to forgive someone, forgive yourself. That is the only person that you should be forgiving, because you're the creator of how you perceive and see.
But most people don't know. When you say that, most people go, forgive myself for what? They did stuff to me. I didn't do anything. Well, I didn't do anything wrong. Why would I
You were
forgive
paying
myself?
attention to the class. I just broke the whole thing down.
Well, but I get it. But what I'm saying is that anytime you say, and I
Talking to
notice
the
that,
stubborn kids in the back of the class.
well, I'm talking
Okay,
about,
go ahead and talk to them.
when people hear the words, forgive yourself, their inner consciousness or their inner child goes, forgive myself for what? I didn't do anything.
Talk
Who
to
did I
them.
who did I hurt?
Yeah, tell them.
I don't know, because I never use the forgive myself thing.
Explain why.
For me, it's
Explain
well, here's
The
why.
kid version of you, but the
Explain
of
why.
you now
But forgive yourself for what?
who held on to stories that caused you pain, like who kept hurting you.
Stories that cause me pain. See, you don't even feel the impact of that.
Because
Like
it's not
me
a strong
person-
word.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is it's a paper thin word. If you,
That's what I'm talking about.
forgiveness has no weight. Forgiveness has no energy. Look how hard it is. I forgive them. Okay, well, you have to repeat that 50 million
Right.
times to make it even matter. And by the way, you forgive them for what? Judging them? No. You're not forgiving
How do you forgive
anyone.
yourself? I think if you forgive yourself when someone feels that
I
they
said-
actually did something.
Let me repeat. I said, if you want to forgive someone,
Yeah.
because you're attached to the word and you need to have the word forgiveness in your life because you
Right.
love the word and people programmed you to say the word forgiveness through religion, whatnot, whatever. You love the word forgiveness. You won't give it up. And I know people who will fight to the bitter end to use the word forgiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So keep your word. But I'm going to tell you something. It takes a lot of work to keep any energy around that word. That word has no weight. It has.
Well, it's disconnected
If
from
you
the
break
reason
down
of
the
why
word-
something happened.
if
It's
you-
disconnected from
If you
why
break
did
down
this
the
thing
word
actually occur.
forgiveness,
What I'm saying is
is
that,
you're judging the person
yeah,
in front of you.
yeah. And you're
Nobody takes it
right,
that far.
but what
I
I'm-
forgive them for doing this. I don't forgive anybody. I know why it happened. I take full accountability and responsibility for exactly what I did, how I did it, the way I did it in every level, in every dimension, for my own sanity.
What do
for
you mean
my
by you
own
don't
thing.
forgive anyone?
I don't need to.
Right, because you don't feel that they did anything to you.
Not at all.
Right.
I'm living my life for myself. I'm not living any other. What is this? A cartoon? Like, no. It seems so fake. It seems like a cartoon when you talk about forgiveness. It's like, what are you talking about?
Well, I've seen, I'll tell you something where I've watched some pretty dramatic forgivings. Like on the internet, I saw that this guy was in court because he murdered this other kid. They're both like 17.
Oh, from
so
a
the
political position. Yeah.
From
like,
a political position is the only place it makes sense
the only place
is in the legal system.
in the legal system.
Yeah.
I agree.
But
That's
on
the
a
only
personal,
time- but
right.
on a personal
But that
level.
story, so the story was that
instantly.
this kid killed this other kid. And so the mother, and another video I saw was the father who was in the courtroom and gave the statement to that 17-year-old, I forgive you, and went over and hugged him. And I've seen videos where people jump the little barrier and try to kill that person. So what they're doing is they're saying that for them, that in the legal sense, that they're forgiving that person
So let's break that down.
for that death.
Let's break that down. They're releasing the constraints of their own anger, judgment, and pain
Towards that person.
the other person
For the causation of
the
their grief.
causation, creating a peaceful boundary or binding, I should say. So now they're coming together in oneness, right? Now, here's the thing. That is the only place that I would say it works.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere else, when you say, I forgive my parents for what they didn't know, if that gives you peace, then say that. The thing I see, the problem with this statement, I'm going to tell you the problem with this statement being shamans for 2 decades,
Yes.
you guys, I'm going to tell you what I've seen with thousands of people, is it never sticks. Don't lie to yourself. You guys know what I'm talking about because guess what, Bernadette? You've been trying to forgive your parents for 40 freaking years, okay?
And she's only
They
28.
tell
That's
you
a really long time.
Even if you say you forgive them and you mean it, that underneath that, you're still saying they did something wrong.
Right.
Correct. Could have never happened.
You're still coming from a victim mentality. You're still coming from that you didn't co-create this. You're still coming from that you're not source in the matter. You're still coming that you as a conscious being did not create your parents to be who they are. Which, if you follow the thread, it actually, what you're actually saying to yourself is that I don't like who I am today. I don't accept who I am today. I don't like the way I am. I judge people, I judge myself, and I am not at peace with myself. And therefore, I'm going to work on forgiveness because I think that's the softer, easier way to get out of this. No, sister,
It's an ego trap.
it is not.
It's an ego trap.
It
It's
is-
your ego that wants to demand forgiveness. If they have anything to say to me, they got anything to say to me? I'm listening. Excuse me. You asked them to be what they are. You asked them to do or not do what they did or didn't do to you. You asked them.
You know, it's a rude awakening for those of you who are new to this conversation. And for those old timers, let us know in the chats. We want to know if you already know about this. But for those of you who this is relatively new, this concept,
Yeah.
let me tell you, it feels like a rug burn.
Well, I'll tell you my own
Isn't it
story.
good to hear
Let me
this-
tell you
to
something.
hear this reality.
One of the biggest pains of my life is when my brother died. And let me tell you, when I have a conversation with him, okay, that was the most devastating death that happened around me, was to lose him, quote unquote. But my conversation is I asked for that to occur, and he granted me this opportunity. By the way, if he hadn't died, I wouldn't be here today doing what I'm doing. Now, some people would say, I'd rather have my brother than doing what I'm doing. And there was a time in my life where I was like, I'd rather have my brother than do any of this work.
How selfless and how loving of your brother. So many hundreds
Powerful
of
soul.
thousands of people.
Powerful soul, a guru to me that made a contract with me that, listen, I'm going to be like your idol growing up, and then I'm going to die suddenly. And it's going to be the biggest grief of your life, but you're going to be becoming a psychic in your mediumship, and you're going to be more who it is that you are. Because I'm good. I don't need more than 40 years on this planet anyway. I'm good. And I'm like, that's the contract. I signed that contract. Now people will say, how do you know that's true? How do you know anything's true? All I'm telling you is pick a belief that really has no loopholes and works for you authentically. Because if you don't pick a belief system that works for you, here's how it works for you. You have freedom. And that nothing, it doesn't trigger you.
Well, and you know you're not lying to yourself.
Who knows if you're lying to yourself? Or who knows if anything exists?
You're talking to a Taurus.
Right?
We know when
maybe the whole universe is, in Indian culture, it is in the Vedas or the Upanishads or the ancient texts of Hinduism, this entire reality from the furthest that the Hubble telescope can see is all happening on the drop of a water that is sprouting out of the belly on a little geyser of water of a much larger God being. We don't know anything about what is real or what isn't real. Let's not kid ourselves, guys. The mystery is, this is all a mystery. What we are offering to you is how to navigate peacefully in the mystery.
Correct. That's the bottom line.
Let's move on. I mean, we're not moving on. It's all a continuation.
Well,
right?
I just want to say
That was very powerful what you said.
There's not a moving on because
No.
this is the conversation and this is what we're all talking about. And all the questions, the majority of them, this is the root.
Okay.
So anyway,
Yeah.
but we will take more questions.
Nobody's got questions about their hamster or anything?
Nope.